where there's history, there's a story, there's a video. And I didn't think there was a place like that in Thailand. I thought it was just going to be like quiet beaches and palm trees and little chalets on the beach. One of the most common questions I get asked is, I want to go where tourists don't go, or I want to live where less Westerners are.
What is up, guys, and welcome back to the One Night in Bangkok podcast. My name is Eric. I'm all the way from Boston, USA. I'm here with my favorite Bangkok podcast girl, Ern, and we're bringing you some of the best people and places and stories from right here in Bangkok, Thailand. If you're new to the channel, or if you're coming to Thailand soon, you're planning your first trip, your 10th trip, hit the subscribe button. Check us out on Apple and Spotify podcasts. Check out our Clips channel. And I want to mention today that we have started a new One Night in Bangkok community group. It's linked down below. This is a brand new group. We're moving away from Facebook. We're building out this whole new community. So check it out down below. It's totally free to join. Ern and I are in there. You can talk to us and meet all other like-minded subscribers. So we'll see you in there. Lastly, if you want to support the channel, if you like what we're doing, buy us a coffee down below. We really appreciate it. And let's get on with tonight's show. Tonight, we've got Bangkok Pat. People are always surprised, the people that we get in here. I think you're going to be one of them. So, can you give me like one or two minutes of background on like who you are and a little bit about your YouTube channel for people that haven't heard of you before?
Okay, I have a channel that focuses on exploring history, different parts of Bangkok where other people don't go or don't expect to go or expect to see. And when I started it, I looked around on YouTube. I wasn't really a YouTube watcher, like for Thai-based content. And I thought, there'll be loads of people doing historic stuff. And I was surprised that there wasn't any like English speaking. So I've always been into history. I've always loved finding unusual places or obscure places, and the channel gives me a chance to be a bit nerdy and show stuff that people don't expect, never seen. So it's a lot of fun. I love doing it.
Where are you from?
I'm British and Thai. So my mum was Thai, my dad's British. I grew up in London, and I didn't actually come to Thailand till I was about 25, because our mum died when we were young, so we didn't have a Thai sort of style upbringing, not me after the age of 11. So I started getting interested in coming to Thailand.
Why did you end up here?
Well, I started working in a Thai restaurant in London in the late 90s, and they were family friends. And at the time, there was a famous book that had sold millions called The Beach.
Yeah, I saw the movie.
Yeah, and it was a movie, yeah. And the restaurant was really busy. People were coming in, it was crowded every day, and people were either just going to Thailand or just coming back, and they were talking about Thailand. And because I was working there, being half Thai, they assumed that, I knew everything.
Yeah.
I knew everything about Thailand.
You speak Thai?
And so I thought, shit, I better tell them like, oh yeah, I've been. And so for about a year, I pretended that I'd been to Thailand. I knew what they were talking about, and they'd say stuff about Bangkok, and I'd just sort of agree with them. I'd say, oh yeah, the traffic's bad. Oh, lovely beach. Oh yeah, it's too hot. And then it came to a point where I thought, and I never got caught out. Then it got to a point where I thought, I've got to go. I could at least go, and seek out a place where, half of me originates from. And I remember my first trip, I absolutely loved it. I think the people were just, everything seemed to fall into place because the people were as laid back as a nature that I had. It was naturally in me, growing up, that I was a bit laid back. So I thought, this is why. Because it's the Thai side. So I visited a few times, and I made a lot of friends in London through working at the restaurant. And so on my first trip, it was to come and DJ because I'd made a few connections, and it was great. So this event company I was working for in the early 2000s kind of changed hands. So I found myself at a loose end, and I thought I'll go to New Zealand and work on fishing boats, but first I'll do 6 weeks in Thailand just to sort of have a bit of fun before I go. And I never got to New Zealand. I ended up staying in Thailand. So I brought all my records over, and for the first stint that I was living here, 2002 to 9, I was a DJ, working in quite a few clubs around Bangkok.
Oh, that's crazy. It's funny how so many people that end up in Thailand, it's never their plan.
Yeah.
I feel like now with social media, now people are more intentional about coming here. But I would say before COVID, when I talk to foreigners that end up living here, almost never do they intend on being here. It just kind of happens somehow. On your first trip here, did you just stay in Bangkok or did you go somewhere else to explore?
I went to I had some friends who were in Pattaya, and I saw that, which was quite surprising. I didn't think there was a place like that in Thailand. I thought it was just going to be like quiet beaches and palm trees and and little chalets on the beach. And I went to Chiang Mai, and I went to Nakhon Pathom, Kanchanaburi, Hua Hin.
So what year is this? The first trip?
99.
99.
Yeah.
I think that's when The Beach, the movie, came out, actually.
Oh yeah, that's right. Because the songs remind me actually
Yeah.
of that first trip. Yeah. Yeah.
So what was Pattaya like in 1999?
Yeah. Before I was born.
Before
99.
Instagram,
Before I was
yeah.
born. I'm
Before
born.
Earn.
I born 2000.
I think
That's so long.
it had just been given city status, I think, at that time, or just a couple of years before. But it was still like a big, large town with just a few tall hotels. It was a lot less crowded. It was mostly Western tourists.
Really?
Yeah, mostly.
Even at that time, it was
Back
quite
then.
popular?
Yeah. But there was a Russian community. There'd always been a Russian community since the 90s, maybe even before that. And so you'd see some signs in Russian, which was surprising. I thought, wow. I would say you could definitely find laid-back spots in Pattaya, whereas the last time I went was over a year ago now. It was unbearable.
Yeah.
I wasn't looking for nightclubs or any nightlife. I was just down there to film a few things and go back. And I thought, I was walking along Beach Road, and I thought, what has this place become?
Did it still have that red light reputation back then in 99?
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was. But there were you could escape it. And there was one shopping mall, Royal Garden Plaza, and oh yeah, they had a Tower Records store, which I thought was great because that was where I went in London to buy all my music. What else did they have? Oh, another thing I distinctly remember was a restaurant called Greg's Kitchen. And people watching might remember that, older people. So I ate there a lot. And I don't know where I used to see ads. It was a magazine I saw somewhere. And that was where I saw Greg's Kitchen. The English guy used to be in North London. Then he'd gone to Pattaya and opened up this place, Second Road, that was really popular. And sadly, I think that sort of closed. It was a casualty of COVID.
Have you been following the news about Pattaya now as far as like the decline in tourism, the businesses struggling? What do you think about that? Do you think it's a bubble down there? It's kind of been like overdeveloped, or do you think this is temporary?
It might pick up with a different demographic, maybe. I mean, people are saying that the current, let's be honest, people are saying there's too many Indians, there's too many Russians, there's too many Chinese, or there's different groups of people moan about different things. I follow a lot of social media. I think it may get sort of revitalized when the next high season.
I was down there a few weeks ago just to kind of chill out, and I heard everybody talking about so many Indians. To be honest, I didn't notice anything like that. And what I did notice though is even at night, even on a weekend night, the bars were so empty, and I couldn't believe that. It must be so depressing to show up for work and just kind of sit there. Like, I don't know. So it's definitely, I feel for the business owners and the people down there trying to make a living.
Yeah, it is sad. You can't help but feel for them. There was photos doing the rounds on social media last month, and there was this whole thing about Indians were sleeping on the beach.
Yeah.
But a couple of the photos that went around were photoshopped.
Really? And
I thought that's really sad to sort of circulate a picture around like that, because there's a lot of Indian tourists in Pattaya. There's also a lot of Indian people with a hell of a lot of money spending it in Pattaya, and people tend to not think of that. So, and that also shows the mentality of the kind of people who comment on social media. I'm sure you know what it's like.
Yeah.
People always want to talk about the worst, because negative news, people want to read the crap and be shocked and surprised. So I think it'll be revitalized
I know
next high season.
I can see what you mean though about kind of switching like demographics, because I don't know if it's just me, but I feel like they've opened a lot more Indian nightclubs, and I've actually been to some of them just to see what it's like. Boy, is it a different experience, like totally different.
How?
And well, I mean, just the type of entertainers, performers, like at a nightclub, there'll be girls dancing on stage or something. Just the types of girls they have dancing at like the Indian nightclub is just very different, look wise. And also I was shocked at how expensive the Indian nightclubs were, like incredibly expensive. And I think there's at least 3, 4, 5 on Walking Street, something like that. So clearly they think there's a market for it. I feel like there's almost more nightclubs for Indians there now than for just like general
maybe
Western
it's like
tourists.
the first list for Indian people that they are tourists, and they like Pattaya is like where they can enjoy, and like there's a lot of like their people there, so maybe they're comfortable to party and enjoy their night there.
Yeah, there must be a good reason for it.
Yeah.
I mean,
But I think it's just for Thai people that maybe have a negative thoughts on like Indian people there, Yeah, that's why. But they actually give out some money in the tourism.
My perspective on that whole thing though is, every group, there's some negative thing about, you can say even American, right? I'm sure people have some, especially if you're British, I'm sure you can say, oh, these damn Americans, they act this way. I try not to be that guy personally. So,
yeah, British are moaners. They moan about the weather. They moan about other foreigners. They try and say, this certain other demographics are worse than them. Americans have their faults. Do you know what? I mean, in all the years I've lived here, the only people I ever never found a fault with were Australians. And Australians were the ones I made like good friends with over the years being here. If it was American or British, there was always something that not put you off, but made you think like, oh, right, they're not as easygoing or they don't just take it as it comes. So I'm sure, Indian tourists will find faults with other tourists. I think what it comes down to is people are saying the big groups of Indian tourists don't spend money.
Yeah.
That's the thing. That's their favorite thing to say in social media, in comments. Oh, they don't bring any money.
Well, I've heard, I don't know if this is true, but I heard a lot of these groups from India, it's like a work thing where they get rewarded for some performance or some yearly thing, and they put a package together and send them to Thailand. And maybe because of that, some stuff is included in the trip, and then everything else after that is not included. So maybe it's, it's not the same as someone coming from America with X amount of money in their pocket to blow in Thailand for 2 weeks.
Yeah, they don't bring much spending money.
Yeah.
And it must be a novelty for them to come to a place like Pattaya.
Hey guys, I wanted to let you know that we have started a brand new One Night in Bangkok community group hosted on the school platform. If you're coming to Bangkok soon, if you're traveling here, if you're thinking about moving here and you want to get the most out of your Bangkok experience, you want some tips on how to get set up here, or if you just want to know the best places to go out, join the group down below. You can talk to Ern and I directly there. You can meet like-minded subscribers. And in the coming months, I'm going to be putting out a lot of guides and helpful info to help you guys get out there and have a great time in Bangkok. So join us down at the link below. It's totally free, and we'll see you there. Now let's get back to the episode. You mentioned before your channel has a lot about history, which I really, this is the magic of YouTube, right? Because you had an idea. You were like, oh, no one's doing this. Let me try this. And you're very good at it. And I understand not everybody is into the kind of content that you produce.
History.
But I've watched a ton of your videos and I'm really into it. It's something that could be like on TV. It's so well done. I remember one of the videos that I really liked was you did a whole history of Nana, and you went to many different spots and you kind of talked about them. Can you give me like some of the highlights of that for people? Like you talked about Soi 11, I think, the Ambassador Hotel. Like what was, like, give me like a brief history of Nana, how that, because that area of Bangkok, I feel like is so infamous.
Yeah.
Some of the spots like Nana Plaza, Soi 11. I would love to hear like from you.
Well, it was named after the Nana family. They are major sort of real estate owners in Nana. It was named after that family, and they have land all over Bangkok. They still do. They still have a lot of real estate, and I think with the current nightlife and businesses, it was born in like this early 60s with the American military, the GIs. They built hotels for them, like the Nana Hotel, the Grace Hotel, Raja Hotel, the Manhattan. The Ambassador back then had a different name. It was called the Chevrolet Hotel and Miami Hotel. And I think there was one family that built all these hotels, and they were kitted out purely for these young American military guys, their needs. It had a swimming pool, basic rooms. It was nicely priced, and it was in an area that had, good access to nightlife. And back then, when that started, the nightlife was actually on New Petrabury Road, which is just not far from it. And the actual bars in Nana were mostly in the hotel coffee shops. So in hotel coffee shops, they had discos, live music, and girls for the guys. And it kind of built from that. I mean, the first hotel that did open in Nana was actually not for that purpose. The Atlanta Hotel in Soi 2. That was the first hotel in Nana. But it grew from that. I'm trying to think if I'm missing stuff out. And then Nana Plaza itself was a shopping centre. And so in the 70s was when a lot of Middle Eastern businesses came into Nana, and they took up Soi 3 to Soi 5, and that became what they call Arab town or
Yeah, sure.
the Arab Quarter. And then in the 80s, you had bars started popping up, and then go-go bars started popping up or getting more sort of prominent. And after the wave of GIs left Thailand in the mid-70s, you started getting groups of European men coming on sort of package nightlife tours. And it just built up. I think people say the peak of Nana's good old days was like the late 80s.
Really?
Yeah.
It seems so long ago.
It was. I mean, I was very young then, so I don't. There are writers who have talked about in their books about the old Nana. There's a few older guys with channels who talk about Nana. I did a lot of research when I was looking into the history of Nana because I went back to the time before the Nana family, and I got the old maps and everything and looked at the old buildings. But I think from about the late 50s that I think the first club was the Copa at the corner of Soi 5, Sukhumvit Soi 5, and that building is actually still there. Well, one part of it, and that was quite a well-known place where if you had a bit more money to spend, you'd go there. They had live bands, they had women, they had it was nice surroundings. And then years later, that became a place called Check-In 99, and that was probably the most famous long-standing pub in Nana. But there's history that goes a lot further back than that.
Mm-hmm.
I could talk.
So
for an
you've
hour.
done all the research by yourself, right? Like through the books, through the website. But how did you know that is the truth? Like everything they've done that is the truth. Like how you make it's informative, but it's also true. Like how can you be sure of that when you're gonna publish every single videos that you say about the history?
You have to make sure it's factual as well. So the research I do, it's not just Google it. There's Facebook pages with historic pictures. There's discussion forums, all in Thai. And if you do a search in Thai language, you'll find old pictures, and then you read comments on these old pictures, especially if you're looking for something specific, and then you might find a link to another page, and then you find the information. I like to try and double check it, especially if it's like sensitive or if it's really important to the topic, to the video, that bit of history. You've got to get it right. When I did the Nana video, I had a couple of comments from people who had very similar surnames to Nana.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the comments said I got one of the years wrong.
All right.
And I saw the name.
Yeah, it has to be something like this.
And I saw the surname, and I thought, oh yeah, it's one of the family. So I replied. I said, oh well, maybe you could tell me a bit more in the future when I do another video. And then they didn't reply.
Yeah.
So you got to make sure.
Yeah. But mostly all the informations are in Thai, right? Or can you read Thai or?
No, I can't.
No. So you need to translate all of that and make sure that it is right or wrong. Because sometimes when it's come to Thai language, information, maybe once you translate it, it could go wrong. It's not exactly the same meaning when you translate
That's
to
very
English.
True. Yeah.
Yeah. It must be really hard.
If it's about a location, and I found a photo of a historic place I want to talk about, usually you'll find someone's made a comment saying, oh yeah, this happened in that year, or this used to be that, and then you just try and delve deeper. You look at the replies to that comment, then you can actually go to the location and say, oh right, this building used to be here. And that's how deep you go with some of the history. And if I don't find the correct information that I need, I probably leave it out, because some people can be sensitive to certain bits of information about history, especially if you're covering like the history of Thonglor, like King Taksin, all that kind of history. You've got to be spot on with that, and that's what takes a lot of the time as well. You know,
Yeah.
Other than the shooting, the editing, and the research can take hours. You know.
No, I don't want to just talk about red light stuff, but I just remember you also did a video on Soi Cowboy that I thought was super interesting, because I learned the reason it's named Soi Cowboy is after an American guy, a black guy, right? That he was from Texas or something, and he started a bar there.
No, he worked in the ammunition section of the US military during the Vietnam War, and he stayed on when it ended. And yeah, he had a big cowboy hat and used to walk up and down the street. And in those days it was called Soi Ratri. And he had a friend who worked for him, a Thai guy, as like a translator and helper and fixer. And he used to go to the university just down Soi 23, a guy called Saki. And when T.G. Edwards was his name, when he started his first couple of bars, it was Saki who helped him set them up. And Saki actually passed away last year. He used to be one of the guides at the old Pat Pong Museum. So when I spoke to him, when I did the Pat Pong video, I realised that he was also around when Cowboy was starting, and then he gave me all that information about T.G. Edwards, and he opened the Cowboy bar, and the nickname actually came from a weekly column that used to be in the Bangkok Post called The Night Owl, and it was written by a guy called Bernard Trink, and that was the only place Westerners could get the nightlife news and things that were happening in English. And so he gave the nickname of Soi Cowboy, because this guy, he was like 6'5", big tall black guy with a cowboy hat.
I'm sure he blended in just
His
fine.
character.
So that it kind of came to life because of him. You know.
Yeah. Back then, were they go-go bars or were they just kind of regular bars?
Yeah, I would imagine they would have been definitely go-go bars. Or women dancing on stage.
Yeah. Okay.
I think maybe the poles came years later. And of course, Cowboy, I think they say it reached its peak in the 90s. When I did the video, I spoke to Peter from Thailand Bound. He was in the video. And he had been there back in the day and remembered that area. So he was a really great guy to talk to in that video. And I also spoke to a guy who was there in the late 80s, early 90s, Christopher G. Moore. And he had based some of his characters in his crime fiction books, who used to sort of hang out in that area. So it was great to get the backstory on it. And when I did it, people said, "Oh, why are you doing Soi Cowboy?" It's, and the way my attitude was, where there's a story, where there's history, there's a story, there's a video. It wasn't about girls or nightlife or showing.
Because you're into history.
I just think it's one of those iconic images you see if you know nothing about Thailand and you Google Bangkok, that street with all like the neon signs pops up, and there's a lot of history there for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And a lot of people have discovered it on their travels for the first time. So there's also a lot of history and a lot of people's experiences. There's probably millions of guys who have come on holiday to Thailand, gone to Soi Cowboy, met a girl, and it's turned into something. There's probably a million of those stories. And the stereotype is they end badly. Those are the stories you get in YouTube videos. People tell those stories, but the stories people don't tell are the ones that lived happily ever after.
Yeah,
you know?
I have a friend that had a situation like that. A positive situation, I mean. So, yeah. So you got here in 99. Was the BTS around then or no?
You know, I didn't ride it. I don't know why. I just didn't. I wasn't aware back then, as I was, you know, a couple of years later. Yeah, I remember seeing the trains.
Okay.
It
'Cause
just
I think
opened.
Bangkok must be a totally different city once the BTS came into effect.
Hmm.
Because before that, I mean, to get from one side to the other, I mean, people I think who haven't been here don't understand how big the city is. I mean, maybe they just think of Sukhumvit or something, but I mean, if you want to go to wherever
Yeah.
by car in the middle of the day,
Yeah.
good luck. It could take hours.
Yeah.
So to have reliable, clean, air-conditioned public transportation is a huge deal in a city like this.
Yeah.
Definitely, you wouldn't dream of going from Bang Na to Siam in 2005, 2004
Yeah.
because the train never went to Bang Na.
Mm.
You'd have to get a taxi from the end on Nut, and then you'd be sitting in traffic for an hour at least. And it would cost a lot of money in the taxi because you'd just be sitting there. So you just wouldn't do that trip unless you really had to. But now you can do it in, 25 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. I've always been fascinated with the On Nut stop because it seems to me it's very built out. There's a lot of like infrastructure there, malls, Lotus, a lot of working Thai people. How can I put it? A lot of Thai people live there. A lot of foreigners live there. And I wonder, why is it this stop that seems to have so much action going on? Can you maybe explain that?
Yeah, I remember about 2003, 2004, when you just had 2 online discussion forums. That was the only social media there was where people could communicate online and get more or less almost instant answers to questions. There was a Jan forum and there was Thai Visa, but that had a reputation as being a bit of a, the moderators were a bit sort of up themselves. But around 2003, 2004, people were talking about living at the end of the SkyTrain on the, but it was so far in those days.
Because that was the last stop,
That was
right?
the last
When they
stop.
originally built the BTS.
Yeah, and people wouldn't want to live past Ekkamai because it's too far out. What if I need to get across the river or something? It would take me ages. I mean, and then people didn't want to live in Prakanong because it was noisy. There was traffic, and no one lived there really. It was just a cut through for traffic going from Rama 4 to Soi 71. So On Nut started getting built up with foreigners who were looking for cheap accommodation with access to a SkyTrain. And I first went there, I think 2004. There was a night market and a beer garden. The beer garden is what people used to go there for originally. And it was the first place that sold beer lao. People used to be crazy about beer lao back then. Now they sell it everywhere. So and then after a couple of years, people would go to the On Nut beer garden because there'd be other foreigners there. And a few condos were popping up, and it just grew. I've openly said it. On Nut is not a place I would want to live.
Really? Why is that?
It's always noisy. There are some great places to eat, drink, but they're all sort of scattered about, away from each other. There's no one area where everyone congregates to, and everything is within walking distance. I've walked around On Nut. I've showed people around On Nut, and if I was going to live there, it would be down Soi 77, most likely down towards what's that? Soi 7, where the temple is. There's
I'm not sure.
There's a condo complex, and it's got a farm with animals, and people
Really?
grow organic stuff, and there's a few condos there. Yeah, you might want to cut that out.
We don't cut anything out.
All right.
So for people that are coming to Bangkok, because mostly when people research Bangkok, where should I stay? They all hear some version of this around Sukhumvit area, like basically where we are now, right? In your opinion, if someone was coming to Bangkok to live for like 6 months or a year, or forever, where do you think like some good places would be besides just this strip on Sukhumvit?
Depends what the budget is. I do show people around who are thinking of living here. I show them 2 up and coming areas in the suburbs, and then I'll show them Ekkamai if they got the budget. Thonglor, I tend not to recommend them unless they want, or they are that kind of person who would hang out.
What kind of person is that?
Someone younger for a start, who likes a good choice of quality bars.
More quality.
Yeah, it is. It's high quality. Older people moan and say, "Oh, I don't like it down there. There's too many young people who think they're trendy." I say, "No, you're not trendy." Or good compromise is move to Ekkamai. Or the prices put people off in Thonglor.
Sure.
But saying that, when I did the video, I looked up a lot of condos to show, and you can still get places for 20,000. I lived on Soi 53 in 2004 at a place called Raintree Villa, and it was 14,000 a month for like a place. Like
when was this?
2004.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But in those days, they'd just built J Avenue. That was the first sort of sign of life.
Yeah, J Avenue is like, how do you describe it? It's got like different restaurants and whatever. Like don't hate me, but there's an Aban Pan
I like that.
cafe there that I used to go to. I used to work there on my computer every day. They've got like a few restaurants around there. I think there's a McDonald's there now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Busy area.
Thonglor, older expats will remember it because it had a British pub called the Witch's Tavern, and people used to go there for that. But a lot of Thonglor back then was like wedding shops or wine shop.
Really?
Yeah.
Interesting. I know they still have one or a handful of wedding shops, but I never thought that was a thing there.
They always had the expensive real estate. That goes back to the 1930s.
Why is that area? Why is that area developed like that? Like, is there a reason?
It was land that was allocated to people who had a connection to the government or the military, and they built big houses in Thonglor. And Thonglor actually means like molten gold, and I think that sort of sums up the area and the quality of the place, because there are some really smart properties in Thonglor. And that bus system they've got that goes up and down, those old buses, that was originally built for like servants and staff who worked in these huge houses.
What bus system?
There's those red buses that go up and down Thonglor.
These are different red buses than the normal Bangkok public buses?
They're really old buses.
I never noticed
Red
this.
buses?
I just assumed they were just the same public transportation.
Yeah, 8 baht. And these were originally for like people who worked for these big houses to get to and from work. And they're still the same old buses. Yeah, they're always parked. As you walk into Thonglor, you'll see a couple of them parked just up the road.
Okay.
And you can just jump on it. It goes down to the end, to the bridge, and then comes back up.
Oh, never
And
noticed.
the staff speak Japanese.
Never.
I've
never tried the buses in Bangkok.
My first night when I moved to Bangkok, because I didn't know where to stay. So a friend of a friend said, "Oh, stay around Thonglor, like stay here." I'm like, "Okay, I don't know." So I rented a condo, and the first night I walked out, and I just started walking down Soi 55, and I ended up at the Old English pub, and there was the old location, and I don't know why that's the first place I decided to go in Bangkok, my first night there, but I wandered in there. Have you ever been there? I feel like...
Yeah, I have. I've been to the old location. I did a feature on it when I did the video, because I knew one of the guys. And then then I did another feature when they moved just here.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they're in a much better location by the SkyTrain.
I think so.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the food is something else.
I feel like Bangkok has a lot of bars and restaurants that kind of cater to English people. Do you agree with that, or is that just me imagining it?
No, I would agree with you.
Almost more than like other groups. I mean,
Everywhere you go, there's always a British pub that pops up
Because-
or an Irish pub.
the UK is not a big country, so I feel like you have more influence than you should. You know?
Yeah, I think that goes back to the colonial days
Yeah.
when they were going around the world, sort of arriving in places and putting roots down,
Yeah.
and then stealing loads of stuff to put in the British Museum.
So, for people that are planning a Thailand trip later this year, like I have a lot of friends that are coming over this year. Maybe it's their first time, maybe it's their third time, whatever. What are some places that you think tourists don't really check out in Bangkok that you think are cool areas they could take a look at?
I do tours, and most of them are people who have watched my videos and have already been here. But a percentage of them are people who've never been here and want to get a good impression of Bangkok in half a day. So I will most likely take them on the riverboat from Saturn to Khao San Road. I'll show them part of the Khao San Road area, and then we're in the old sort of part of Bangkok, and they'll see some of the, we'll walk past some of the famous buildings, and then I'll show them sort of the part of the old town where tourists don't go, because it's a big area, the old town. And
Can I just jump in? So by Old Town, you mean the area west of Sukhumvit towards the river, along the river, so that area.
Yeah.
And I, when my parents visited me, I actually recommended they stay there for the first few nights because it's such a different vibe than the rest of Bangkok, which is so sparkly and new and shiny. So yeah, that's really cool.
yeah, the old town is actually an island. It's called Ratanakosin Island, and on one side of it you got the river, and then you've got the canals that go around the other side. And originally that was a moat because Bangkok had a wall around it when they first built it. So not a lot of people call it Ratanakosin Island. You'll see it on maps, but yeah, most people know it as the Old Town. So the Old Town area is everything inside the canal. That is, if you take the canal boat to the end and you get to the Golden Mount,
Okay.
that canal there is like you step over that, you step into the original Old Town.
So if someone was coming to Bangkok and they say, I want to check out a temple, what are like the best temples you think someone could see? And what are probably not the ones they should maybe avoid?
Well, you got the well-known ones, like the ones you pay to get into. But if you just go a little bit off the main tourist trail, you'll see other temples where tourists don't go. And the one I usually show them is the one with the Royal Cemetery. That's Wat Ratchabore, and this is absolutely beautiful. It's got the memorials for deceased members of the royal family in one of the gardens, and it never gets many tourists, and so that's one place I take them. Hopefully loads of people won't go there now they've seen this. And there's the old city wall. There's another temple around the back, the Iron Temple, which is that's the one with the metal gold spikes that you see. That one as well. You don't pay to go. I think you pay 20 baht to go into that one, and you can go to the top. And that's another beautiful temple people don't really go to. You can walk through the canals and see some of the neighborhoods, and then there's the park that used to be Bangkok Prison. There's loads of places where tourists don't go.
Yeah.
And they're just not far off the tourist trail.
Yeah.
So people tend to stick to a certain sort of route.
What about markets? Because when I first got here, that was one of the coolest things, is all these night markets, but it's changed a lot. I mean, during COVID, after COVID, places have closed, new places have opened. If someone was coming here and they said, I want to check out a night market, where would you recommend?
Night market, I would say take a trip down to Sinakaran
Where's that?
train market.
Oh, that's the huge one, and it's really far from
Where
like
is
the
it?
center.
It is far, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know how like where it's I don't know how to say like where it's located, but it's really far. It's called Rotfai Sinakarin,
Yeah.
but it's really huge. Like it's bigger than Jot Fair. It just has everything, and mostly there are Thai people, like just only Thai people. Yeah, but it's really huge.
Yeah, because I think some of these markets, they're kind of like geared towards tourists. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some, it's cool when you go to a place that's set up for Thai people and you get
Yeah.
to just kind of experience
Yeah.
that. So that's why I asked
Yeah.
you like that. Yeah.
Because the last time that I went there, I saw just maybe 2-3 foreigners. That's it, and the rest is Thai people, and it's open till late. And mostly, if you check out like the night market around like the center of Bangkok, you just see okay, food closed, but there they actually have like a big restaurant inside the market and big bars and maybe like a Thai style bar or club inside, like so all in one. So yeah, but it's so
it's
far.
fantastic. And you got classic cars, you got furniture
Yeah,
for sale.
it's giving like a vintage vibe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it is.
everything's so chic.
That's one I recommend. Although a lot of people who book a tour with me, most of them are only here a few days. So I would say to them, "Oh well, go to Chatuchak on
yeah.
in the evening." Like,
That's the first list of the market.
yeah.
for-
Or people ask me about food markets. And there are places where you can get authentic Thai experience, but then there's places like Jod Fairs is great for food,
Yes.
but a lot of tourists go there. And people, one of the most common questions I get asked is, "Oh, I want to go where tourists don't go, or I want to live where less Westerners are." So I would take them if we're near the river. You go across the river to Ta Dindeng Market. It's across from Ratchawong Pier, Chinatown.
I've never been.
And that street has it's a street food street in the evenings, and it's got, or they say, the best chicken satay stall. There's 2 of them there, and then they have a food market on Thursdays, and it's so Thai. Whereas you hardly ever, you might see the odd like tourist there. So that's one, and Bang Son market, that's pure food. But these food markets are for mostly, they're geared towards people going home from work. So they'll go there because you don't sit down and eat in these places. They're all food stalls. So it's geared towards people who coming out the station or on their way home,
Yeah.
buy the food in a bag and they take it
Go
home.
home.
And then 7:30, 8 p.m. they've sold all the food and they're closed. A friend of mine, Paul, he's got a channel called Paul G Eats, and he goes to the most authentic street food places you can get, really. And he just eats there. He just goes there randomly and he eats there, and you see what it's like, and you get a real idea of places that are not, always on YouTube.
Yeah.
Because people always go to, I go to Terminal 21.
Yeah, right.
Or Jod Fairs. And it's usually the same old thing. But I think he's the only one that's actually out there in the suburbs finding these places.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great channel to see that.
Was-
He's kind of just...
Paul G Eats, is that what you
Paul
said?
G Eats, yeah.
Okay.
He's kind of up and coming. He's getting a lot of views now. His views are creeping up because people, I think, are looking for something a bit more authentic.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of YouTube out there that repeats a lot of stuff.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
And they'll tell you that everything is fantastic all the time. Whereas Paul, if he goes to a place and it's not great, he will say it. Well, it wasn't very good, because street food. There's some great street food around Bangkok. There's also some not so great street food out there. But I suppose if you're trying to build a YouTube channel, you can't really say something is bad, can you?
Yeah, well, I don't know. I've gone into that territory sometimes.
Yeah, like everyone who goes to Mark Ween says it's amazing.
Oh, I've never been there. Have you been there?
I've been there.
Yeah.
Where's that?
Pedmark.
Oh, that one.
Yeah,
And
Okay.
it's good, but it's not the best. There is better,
Sure.
but I can see why people go there.
Yeah.
I think what wins it for Petmark is, and this isn't a promotion or anything. It's very good quality ingredients.
Sure.
Like, so you get really good
Yeah, we should
quality
check that
beef.
out. I've never been there.
Yeah.
So I got one more question for you. So you've been here almost approaching 30 years now.
Just over 20 years. Yeah.
You came in 99?
Well, that was what I was visiting then.
Okay.
But
Okay.
I moved here in
Start to
2002.
live.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what are some things that you feel like, as far as in Thailand or in Bangkok, were better in the past? And what are some things that are for sure better now?
You know, before social media and people were walking around staring at phones, there was a lot more emotional connection, more social connection. For example, Khao San Road. We used to go there once a month to go clubbing because it was just a different place. Now it's very commercialized. I think people were more social in the old days, and you could start conversations. I don't know how guys go to bars and clubs now and have to disturb people to start a conversation.
It's not always
Yeah.
easy, but we get it done, right?
Yeah, it's a different generation. But I'm sure if the first time, if I was 25 and I come to Bangkok for the first time, I'd go to Khao San Road because I'd want to meet people who
And
are
end
also
up on a
traveling.
5 a.m. adventure like I did. We just
Yeah.
did a video. I don't think you saw it, but we did a video about meeting some people on Khao San Road.
I wasn't
Yeah.
going on a 5 a.m. adventure.
Well, we met them at 5 a.m. and then we went on a day trip to their hometown right after that.
Okay, where was it?
Where did we go?
Yeah.
I don't want to say just for the privacy of who we were with.
But if you look up
we
on
went
the comment,
3 hours
somebody
out
already knew
into
where
near
is that.
Khao Yai.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, that's yeah, it's lovely. Khao Yai is lovely.
But it's kind of the crazy thing that happens in Bangkok. You go out one night, you're at a bar. Next thing you know, you're on a mountain with some elephants with people you just met.
Well, that's the kind of adventure
Yeah.
you should be having. I think.
Yeah.
And in 20 years ago, nightlife, Bangkok nightlife, it was why people came. Not just people coming here to go to bars in Nana or Pattaya or whatever. Actual nightclubs it was all an all night thing. They just, it was till dawn, and then it was like the sort of early part of the 2000s when Prime Minister Thaksin Shinawatra came to power. He wanted to regulate nightlife opening hours, and that it has never really recovered since that time, because he started. And I was working as a DJ at this time in clubs, and some of the clubs would have to close at 12:30 or 1 a.m. and that was like quite normal. And they had different nightlife zones, and they tried to start up a Ministry of Sound in Bangkok in 2002. It didn't work purely because...
That's a nightclub.
Yeah. Famous nightclub.
Yeah, and
like a
I
big
know
brand,
is it in London?
Mm.
Yeah, I've heard of it, yeah.
So I think we could still find places to go, but there used to be a famous place called Spicy, and that was where like after hours till 6 a.m. So if you were out and you wanted to go somewhere that was still open at if you finished in one club at 2 o'clock and you wanted to continue drinking, it was usually Spicy, and most taxi drivers would know where it
Yeah,
was.
there's still a few of those places out
Yeah.
there. Not
Well-
that I would ever go to them because I'm in bed early and I never go out. So, but
Yeah,
I've heard
or-
of them.
Yeah, or hotel lobbies would sell beer 24 hours, and
I
people
see.
would go to
So-
Las Vegas.
What are some things now that you look back and you're like, oh, thank God this changed, or thank God we have this now? Because I think Bangkok has become a very modern city, and often
Yeah.
people romanticize the past, but for sure there's going to be some good changes.
Yeah.
I think we romanticize the past because we had such a great time, regardless of what was inconvenient back then. There's been a lot of positives compared to the past. It's like the transport system. You know, they're constantly expanding the train network. You can go across the river on the BTS and the MRT. Traffic, it's never really. It's improved a little bit. I mean, look at the taxi costs. 20 years ago, it was still the same price to go somewhere in a taxi. What else? It's become easier to cross the road, as it was before.
It's become easier.
Yeah, because now people stop more than before. Believe it or not.
That's crazy.
And people still think it's like difficult now. And what else? There used to be more street food.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like for example, from Nana to Asok, that part of Sukhumvit, used to be a lot of street food stalls just set up with plastic tables and chairs. I can't think of any that are there now.
Yeah. Well, I can.
Oh, you do?
Yeah, like actually the first time that I came to Bangkok was around 2005 or 2007, because I visited my dad that he used to work as a Muay Thai coach around like 13 Rian hotels like Ramanai. And like what's better in the past for me, it's about like people kind of like talk more like in person, and I feel like it's more like lively, you know, like people around you, just they're not really focused on like the phone, the things. But what's better now, I think it's about like the driver, the taxi driver, because back then me and my family, we're from Ubon Ratchathani, we were so nervous, we're so stressed when we get on a taxi, because you don't know the street, you don't know anything. And we don't have the Google. I don't know we have the Google map that back then or not. People don't really use smartphone. And then we need to just trust the driver. Whatever price is it, whatever way we have to go, we just leave it to them. And right now I just feel more safe and feel more comfortable to live in Bangkok and use the taxi driver, get on the taxi, because we have the Google map with us. If they take us to some weird way, we know exactly like, okay, you cannot lie to me. And I think it's what's better now in Bangkok.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. Feel more safe as a countryside girl. Since like back when I was like 7 years old, it's so hard to like, you know, go somewhere. Just need to trust a taxi driver. And I think back then, I think they're so smart because they have to remember all the routes.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, do you know how can I go this and that? They're just, I know. But right now, if you ask the taxi driver, they maybe need to use the Google map.
Yeah,
like,
that's annoying.
They already lost their skills. Like actually, they're very smart. But right now, they're just, okay, they have the technology, it helps. But they lost the skill that's we're like, you know, we really trust them in the past.
That's true. That's why I get annoyed when sometimes I expect to get a taxi because he might know a short way, a shortcut. And before drivers had the maps, they had to know.
Exactly.
So if I get a Grab or a Bolt car, and I'm expecting him to take a shortcut. But then when he's using Google Maps, I think, oh no, he's just going to go directly. And sit in the traffic.
The Google Map is not really working. They're like, oh, it's not this way. It has to be other way. And it's always something that we mostly complain when we're on the Grab or Bolt right now.
Because coming from London, where you got London taxis had to know something called the knowledge, where they had to learn every shortcut.
It's like a licensing thing?
Yeah, to get your license to be a taxi driver. Huh. So, there was a lot more knowledgeable taxi drivers in the old days. Now anyone can do it. They just follow Google Maps.
Yeah, any.
And it can be a letdown sometimes.
Yeah.
So the channel is Bangkok Pat. Easy to remember name.
Yeah, not my shirt.
Bangkok.
Pat, thank you for coming. If you guys have any questions, if you have any comments, suggestions, if you have memories from Nana in the 1960s, drop them down below. Hit the subscribe button, and we will see you in the next one.